This might be complete gibberish, and I'm sorry if it is, but I'm trying to explain it, and it's really hard to explain, but I feel like I need to explain it, so I'm doing my best. Actually, this is helping a lot. I didn't think I needed to talk it out, even though there was nothing really wrong, but apparently I did, so that's nice. Hello, this is my kitchen. Just thought, since I don't really have a video ready for today, and I didn't really have much inspiration this week, I would talk a bit about how I am feeling. Which isn't great, and I apologize for the mess that is my face, but I didn't feel like putting on makeup because, well, I'm in my kitchen and I kind of wanted it to just be how it is now. I was just really anxious all of a sudden, which is kind of unusual for me because most of the time I'm not really anxious very often, and if I am, I can usually pull myself out of it pretty quickly. I don't even know how I do, so usually it just happens, which is actually kind of a problem lately. I've just been like okay for so long that I can't remember when I am anxious how I manage to get myself out of it. Like, I'm trying the techniques and everything, like the grounding and the breathing, and it does help a little bit, but most of the time I don't have to try. I can feel myself out of it without actually really having to do anything. I don't even know if that makes sense. Usually if I'm anxious, I'll put on some music. My go-to, I think I probably talked about it at some point, but is a Skylit Drive because it's kind of like screamo punk, so sometimes it's a bit of a sensory overload, but other times it's calming to me because it's like some other sound that just takes me out of what I'm currently in, but also it calms me. I don't know, it's like a good balance. Or flat sound, which is my alternative when there's too much going on in my environment or whatever, even if there's not, but if the anxiety is just too strong to really pay attention to anything else, then I'll listen to some flat sound, which I tried. I didn't even bother trying to listen to a Skylit Drive because I knew that would just be too much for me, but I did try flat sound, although the problem with flat sound is that sometimes the lyrics can be a little triggering, a little depressing, and I kind of became anxious after a few songs again, so that wasn't helpful. I started by listening to some videos because most of the time when I wake up and I have breakfast or whatever, I'll listen to a YouTube video or like watch it as I eat or whatever because it gave me something to do, but even that was too much. Like, nothing, no sort of content would please me right now. I mean, I did go to a concert last night, but it was really good. I feel like maybe that might have something to do with it just because it was like a lot, even though it was really good. It's kind of like aftermath anxiety. I find myself lately also having more anxiety after the thing is over that I was stressed about. Like, not even being too concerned about it, but after it's done, like, it all just kind of sets in, which is strange because that doesn't really happen to me. Usually anxiety is about like a future event for me, and for most people, I'm sure. I don't know, it's like all the newness sets in after it's already done and like compared back to how I normally am. I don't know, it's strange. I guess it's better that way because then it doesn't mess up what I'm actually doing in the moment. It's also really weird because then I'm like at home where I feel perfectly fine, and then suddenly everything just feels like terrible again, and maybe it has nothing to do with the thing that happened, but like I can feel the contrast between the new and this, and it's kind of like that uncomfortable feeling. Like, if you have anxiety, I'm pretty sure you know what I mean. Like, you feel like you're not really in your surroundings, or you don't like really belong there. Not belong there as in like a social issue, but like something's off. Anyway, I want to talk about how I feel when I have anxiety lately. There's like a lot of different kinds of anxiety, and I don't mean disorders, but I mean like literal anxiety feelings that differ. It's just different depending on the situation or like where I am. My mom dropped me off at school the other day for an appointment I had, and of course I was stressed about that because, you know, adulting. And I'm not used to doing things like all on my own, but getting to this school, I felt like I did in grade 7. Like, when I was in grade 7 and going to school, or trying to go to school every morning or even in the afternoon, like just for part of a day, and like it was that same familiar, like, I can't go to school feeling, which I knew like I'd be fine once I actually like got into the university. Like, when I was having panic attacks every single day and I couldn't survive at school for longer than like a few classes. or part of a day, or even sometimes not even go in because it was just too much. It wasn't like quite to that degree of anxiety that I felt before, but like still the same feeling. I mean, I can't describe what the feeling was, but I know that it's like different. It's specific to that situation, and it kind of took me back to like that time, and I'm like, whoa, like I haven't felt this particular anxiety forever, and it was really weird. As I was saying, I did try the grounding technique, using my senses to ground me to the environment, but the problem with that at the moment was that the feeling I had about where I was didn't match the place and the usual feeling. Like, it didn't help. I mean, I guess I haven't practiced it forever, so like, why would it help? I just expect to like be fine, and then sometimes I'm not, and I don't know how to handle it when I'm not. It's like everything feels new when nothing around you is new. I want to describe it as in levels or like dimensions or something, but not in like the actual philosophical way, but it just feels like how I'd imagine it would be like. Or like in a dream maybe, because everything around you is the same, but something feels off and you can't pinpoint it. Even if everything around me is different and new, typically I can focus on like, I guess the best way I can explain it is just like realistic thinking, like what's happening at the time. For like someone who isn't normally anxious, like how a situation feels to them, even though like I can kind of adapt that into my own life somehow. Usually I pull myself out of that weird feeling and just like, I want to say ground myself to like the everything's okay kind of thing. I don't know how it happens, but like I can just pull myself out of my anxiety and be like, no, like that's not how this works here. Like I don't have to say or do anything. It's just like some sort of sensory perceptive feeling that just like switches in my brain, and that's how I've been coping. So I don't know how it works. I guess maybe I've just figured out when I'm anxious to not be anxious somehow. Like my body's just kind of adapted to how it should be. So when I do get anxious, it's typically going into that other dimensional sort of feeling where like everything's the same, but like I'm anxious. I guess that's the simple basic idea of it. I don't know. I feel like I'm making this bigger than it actually is, but it just feels so strange to me. Like it's a little bit different. Or maybe it really is just anxiety as it normally is. It's just been so long that it doesn't feel like I thought it would or like it did before, because like I'm not used to it anymore. It's almost like the thing in the situation when I'm anxious, like the thing that's off is me. Like I'm not really me. I'm not as connected to myself, which I know that doesn't really sound like anxiety, but I know it's anxiety that's causing it. It's not some sort of like derealization thing. Like I've looked into that. I mean, it does feel spiritual. Like when I'm okay, like I'm okay in my environment, like, you know, but when I'm not okay, it's like I'm disconnected from what's around me, and like I can't figure out how to get connected again. I wanted to include, if you want to see more vlog style videos, let me know. I wouldn't say this is really like a vlog, but it is a lot more natural, and it's the sort of real and raw videos I like when other people upload, so maybe I should do more of them on my own and not worry about the backdrop or how I look too much. Hopefully this, I don't know, was interesting. I don't think it's helpful, but hopefully you enjoyed my kitchen. I mean, there's better lighting in here. I guess this is today's video. I was just gonna edit and upload one, but I didn't do that yet, so. Well, thank you for watching. See you later. Bye.